I don't really think we're looking for a silver bullet. I think we're looking for at least a bronze bullet. You know what I mean?
Pick any color you want. The money isn't there.
You're standing there like you want to talk.
I'm just... The one thing I think is important to realize is how unique this situation is, and I think that's one reason we keep looking at it. We don't have the normal, you look at most organizations, be it a Fortune 500, private sector, or Knox County. People go to work there, they stay there for the better part of their work history, and so you have old employees with long service. In Farragut, you all, and this is prior to me, so it's just what I notice is you've tried to hire the best talent you could for positions. And this goes across the board in all departments. We have hired a lot of people in mid-career. So what happens when you're looking at this retirement situation, you have mid-career people with short tenure, and you have short tenure and a little bit older, and you have, so there's no continuity of short service time, young age, old service time, old age, and so therefore you had this whole mix of service and age, and that's one reason it's this. We've been beating this thing to death. I just wanted to remind and point that out again.
And just one question I've not asked, and I guess I've made an assumption the whole time, so my assumption may be wrong. The 8%, how many years have we been putting the 8% away?
1983.
Okay.
84, beginning of 84.
So, you know, 8% is nothing to sneeze at, first of all. But in addition, without paying Social Security, there was another 6 points that people had to do something with. And again, I know I'm going to sound harsh, but there is a certain amount of responsibility to have yourself prepared for retirement. So there actually was 14 points that were available to invest and manage in some way, shape, or form. And you know, there is, again, you have some personal responsibility to get educated and understand where you're going to be for retirement. That doesn't make any difference if you work for a town, you work for a business, work for yourself. You have that responsibility. I mean, I work for a fairly large organization. We have pretty good benefits. But guess what? If you don't participate in them, they're in the same spot you're at. And I've seen employees that way. And it is very unfortunate. It's a mess. But there isn't the resources here. We can't, as I've said 100 times, you can't turn back the clock. We've taken a fund that was never set aside to do this to begin with. And we've made a decision, well, let me word it differently. We've made a suggestion, we haven't made a decision yet, to allocate those dollars to that. But I don't know what else to say.
Alderman Honkin, I agree with what you're saying. There is some responsibility, but there's not a person that works for the staff that was hired after 2005 that knew that we were going to be penalized through Social Security. That needs to be figured into.
I agree with
and
that.
And it is a penalty that is going to, you're talking about 60%. Some people, I mean, I've got 24 years of no Social Security. Yeah. And that is a 60% penalty for me and my family that I didn't know about. Nobody else in here knew about it until, you know, we were made to sign. The people that came here after 2005 were made to sign something. The rest of the staff was not even told about it until about 3 years ago. So I agree with you that there is some responsibility on our part, but you also have to understand that we're going to get penalized about something that we absolutely knew nothing about.
I understand that, but you know, I don't want anybody to think my comments in any way, shape, or form are saying I don't appreciate the town staff, because I do. And what you said is true. We became #1 in this recent survey, poll, whatever the proper term is, due to the actions of the people that work here. I recognize that. And what you say is true, and I agree with that. I'll acknowledge that, without question. But at the end of the day, I'm telling you, the checkbook isn't big enough. I mean, I know everybody wants a solution. There is not that much here. The best we can do, the best that could happen is we make it less worse. We cannot make it better to the point where anybody's going to walk out of here saying, wow, they really solved my problem. And there's a tremendous amount of desire. These are good people up here that are really, their heart's in the right place. Mine is as well, but I wish I could come up with some kind of happy ending, but I'm telling you, there isn't one to any extent that's going to solve everybody's problem. And I hope I can be proven wrong. I'll be the first one to say, thank God for that.
If I thought that we could look at it and come to some kind of decision, I would like to see this taken care of before the end of the year. And it's not that we're rushing. We've been looking at this thing for probably, how long, Mrs. Curry? About a year, right? And, you know, we've all thought about it, looked at it, studied it, prayed over it. I have. And trying to do what's best for all the people that work here in the town of Fairgrounds. That's why I went with option 1 or 2, because that helped every employee here. I don't think it would be fair to leave a certain number of employees out. We want to help everybody. But if we could come up with something that maybe we could look at and vote on again in December, but I do not want, if we could do that tonight, I will hold off on voting on it tonight. If Mr. Smoke feels like he could, even if we have to have a special call meeting.
Well, Alderman, I think we can definitely come up with other scenarios. I mean, we've come up with several already. If you'd like to come up with some more, we can certainly do that. Have them ready for a December workshop meeting. If you feel like you'd like to get it, have a workshop ahead of time, we can do that too. We can talk about it even further. So we can do whatever the board wants us to do and make sure it's a priority to get that accomplished and give you plenty of time to review it.
Well, let me suggest this, because we can approve something and it's always subject to being modified in the future, just as we are modifying it through this process. If we pass this tonight and then look into some possibilities that would improve the situation for our older employees in some kind of fair way, we can always bring that back and pass it, depending on, you know, whether we like it, how much it costs, all that. I don't know if that gives you any pleasure knowing that, but that's the fact. As long as our retirement plan, whatever it is going to be deemed to be insufficient by some people, we still have a problem. Right? So, what's your pleasure?
Well, I'm gonna make a motion. I'm gonna move that we go with option 2 with the lump sum dollars that are shown there be allocated accordingly.
I'd like to second that with the addition of what the mayor has just said. That we do this and then take a second look at those people who are the older and have been here the longest, and maybe some other compensation could be made for them. if you would be willing to add that to your motion.
I'm fine with that. So I'll revise my motion to state same.
We'll second it then.
Any more discussion? Jeff? Nothing?
Talked out.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Now, does that mean we just approved both item B and C?
No, that's just.
No, sir.
No.
Okay. So, item C is approval of supplemental retirement program for employees of the town of Farragut. Great.
With that, okay. The supplemental plan is going forward, not looking back. It's going forward, and this program would enhance the town's ability to recruit, retain, and provide for a more meaningful retirement benefit for its employees. And I think we've already discussed about the numerous workshops we've had in the last several months. And looking at this specifically, once the board voted in April to join Social Security and have a match program, 4%, up to 4% of employees' money matched by the town. Upon further review, it was noted that older and long-term employees will not have time prior to normal retirement age to accumulate necessary funds for a sustainable retirement. So the proposed supplemental plan allows vested employees to have additional funds matched dollar for dollar by the town according to the following schedule. That's 5 to 10 years of service. An additional 2% of funds would be matched in a employee's 401 account by the town. 11 to 20 years of service would be an additional 4% of funds matched in an employee's 401 account. And over 21 years of service, 21 plus years, I should say, of service, it would be an additional 6% of funds matched in an employee's 401 account. And I think it's very important to note that the proposed supplemental retirement program will only require the town to contribute funds to the program if employees make the contribution into their account. Employees take advantage of this program will be better able to accumulate funds for retirement. It's estimated that if all employees take advantage of this supplemental plan for the fiscal year 11-12, the cost will be $29,390 for the half of the fiscal year beginning January 1st. That amount is not currently budgeted and will require a budget amendment as proposed under agenda item 7B8. My bifocals are giving me trouble here, sorry. This program will be available to all eligible employees regardless of whether they elect to join Social Security or stay in the current town retirement system.
Mrs. Curry, this thing that you're proposing, that was actually option 7 on our original list. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Thank you.
Any more discussion? Questions? Jeff? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?